What's going on, Sixer Nation? DFJ Hoops here, back again with another live stream. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Um, got a good show for y'all today as well. Salute to my guy, Humble. Yeah, appreciate you, Humble. Appreciate you. Back with another one. Appreciate you. And salute to my guy, BJ, as well. Always in the building, showing love and support. Appreciate you. The Celtics looked good last night. Um, yeah, the Celtics took on the Cavs and demolished them in the preseason game. I mean, preseason don't mean nothing, but um, the Celtics did look good. But I mean, I'm looking forward to Cleveland. I hope they do something great in the Eastern Conference. Even though sometimes I do wish they don't make it far, but I'm still wishing them good. But yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all again. If you come in, bro, smash that like button. Smash that like button. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, we're not gonna waste any more time. Um, I think the last time we was live, I mean, since then, I mean, Quentin Grimes re-signed with the Sixers. The Sixers have played 3 preseason games, 2 against the Knicks, 1 against the Orlando Magic, which was last Friday night, which was a disappointing ended, right? Disappointing, especially in that fourth frame where they only scored like 8 or 9 points. You're very, very disappointing, but um, I think in this live, I think everything's on the docket, but I'm gonna give my takeaways on the blue and white scrimmage from yesterday at the Chase Fieldhouse in Delaware. I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. The exciting news about it, I'm gonna talk about everything. So if you just tuned in, please make sure you smash that like button. If you're not subbed to the channel, subscribe to the channel as well, and also hit the bell notification icon. Um, yeah, salute the humble too. My guy humble. Salute to him. Salute to BJ. Boston Jubilee. Okay. I guess that's what it means. But yeah, so let's get right into it. So um, yesterday the Sixers had their annual blue and white scrimmage, which is something they do before the start of every season, right? It's kind of like the starters play against the bench unit, and the fans are in the stands. It's kind of like a summer workout, but with the fans in the building, right? So the fans can interact with the players, get take pictures with them, and also get autographs and what have you. So it was a pretty good event, and you get to watch the players play. But I mean, it's not really physical or anything like very, very intense. Like it's like I said, it's like pickup, but it's just the fans are there, so it gets you excited to see what the players will be doing heading into the next season, which it's a good thing, right? It's a very, very good thing. It's not really packed every single time. I mean, sometimes it is packed if there's high expectations for the Sixers, but this year not really wasn't really packed. So salute to my guy Shy in the building, bro. Appreciate you. Golden State is looking good too. Now they probably lost last night against the Lakers, but they look good. Golden State look good. But so yeah, I think heading into that, I mean, there's a lot of narratives, a lot of storylines, surrounding certain players. Now Jared McCain was, he was in the building, but he didn't play because he's recovering from the thumb surgery he had, I think a few weeks ago, right? But he was in the building in good spirits. I saw him signing autographs, taking pictures with the guys, and I mean, Jared McCain is going to do Jared McCain, right? He's a fan favorite. The fans love him, and the fans will always give him support. So he was in the building, right? Paul George was also in attendance. Um, but I think the highlight of the story was Joel Embiid, and it's something with Sixer fans with Joel Embiid, right? I think every season when they post a clip or if there's a clip about Joel Embiid, doing something very, very good, the expectations is MVP. And I don't know why Sixer fans think that way. Now, I think we as Sixer fans have been fortunate to have witnessed, 4 MVP caliber seasons from Joel Embiid, maybe 5, right? MVP caliber seasons from Joel Embiid, which is very, very, every team doesn't get to brag about something like that, right? They don't get to brag about their players, gracing them with 5 MVP caliber seasons. But with Joel Embiid, it seems like year after year after year, that's the expectations. And I don't know why Sixer fans do that. I mean, me personally, am I having MVP expectations for him? Probably not because he's dealing with injuries, and also I don't want him to be in no MVP conversations, right? Because being in those run-ins, you tend to follow these narratives, and then you tend to deflect away from what the team actually needs, and then guess what? You have your own agenda, and when you have your own agenda, guess what? Um doesn't really help the team long term because the team really wants to make a deep postseason run, and focusing on the regular season or making that a priority, you might end up stressing yourself out too much, and then guess what? You get into the playoffs, and then you start to break down, especially with Joel Embiid, who is very very he's not that durable, right? Joel Embiid is not that durable. And if he stresses himself out in the regular season, it's just not going to look too good, right? But I mean, the thing is that he's not even going to start off the season, right? He's not going to start off. He might miss a few games, maybe might miss like 9 or 10 games like he did last year before coming back. So, um, the Sixer fans, expecting an MVP caliber season from Joel Embiid. I mean, I'm gonna just say, I mean, lower your expectations, because it's just not gonna happen. Now, if he does it, I mean, Joel Embiid is that talented, he's that skilled, he's that good to give you an MVP caliber season. But in terms of him winning an MVP again, I just don't see that happening, and I don't know why Sixer fans do it. But speaking of Joel, I think Joel has some good plays, right? Especially with that 2-man game with Tyrese Maxey. I mean, he did look good. I think that's the basis of the Sixers offense, right? The 2-man game, which when he works it with Tyrese Maxey, it opens up a lot of options. Whether Maxey wants to drive to the rim or find Joel Embiid on the cut, or Embiid wants to stop and pop at the mid range for his patented step back jumpers, or Maxey can also look to find guys in the corner for open threes. I think that's the basis of the Sixers offense, which Embiid did look good in multiple of those plays. He also had some good ISO possessions, where he took on his defender did a few tween behind the back, got into his bag a little bit. Now, like I said, it's like a pickup game, right? It's not something that we're gonna see in the regular season as often. Now, Joel Embiid is the best player on the team, so sometimes he might have some freedom to do certain things on the court. But me personally, I don't want Joel Embiid, you know, at the top of the key doing the tween behind the back. Like, bro, we're trying to score as quickly as possible to get back on defense and get the defense set. So if you can make some quick moves to score, because at the end of the day, there's only 24 seconds that you got to work with on offense, right? So the goal is to, work with the least amount of time as possible, because for number one, you want to get the defense set, and number two, you want to increase your amount of possessions, because the amount of possessions you have, that gives you a lot of options to do, a lot of things on offense, right? Now, if you're salute to the guys in the building, salute to Jorge, appreciate you. Salute to Bobby as well. Appreciate y'all. Um Cheyenne says the officiating was straight trash cans in the Lakers Warriors game last night. Even Draymond had to call the refs out during. Yeah, I was watching it a little bit, but I stopped watching because they had it in the bag. So, but I mean, it's preseason, and I don't think you should be really worried about it. I mean, I'm not saying you're worried about it, but I mean, you're laughing, which I think Golden State is going to be good. Golden State is going to be a very very good team, right? They're going to be a very very good team. So, I'll be looking forward to that. But salute to my guy Ore in the building. Hello, team Philadelphia 76ers. Appreciate you. Bobby King says, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." So yeah, I think he's alluding to Joel Embiid. If you let Joel Embiid fool you 3 times, you're a damn fool. Which hey, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you. But I mean, I think. Yeah, sorry about that, but I think it was a strategy for the Sixers to put Joel Embiid out there. Right now, what do I mean by that? I think they're trying to sell tickets. Right now, in order to sell tickets, you have to sell hope. And what is the hope? The hope is you have to make it seem like Joel Embiid is going to play a lot of games. So if you put Joel Embiid out there like that, guess what? You're going to sell tickets, because guess what? The Sixers is a product, right? The Sixers is a product. Joel Embiid is the face of the product. the Sixer fans are the consumers or the customers, and then the front office, they are the beneficiaries. That's how they make their bread. So they have to they have to they have to sell tickets. So that's why they had Joel Embiid out there. Even though he did look good, right? He did look good. But I mean, I'm not gonna say he was looking like his MVP caliber self, because I need to see more to come to that, or to make that decision or come to that conclusion. But I think Joel Embiid looked very, very good. I mean, in those two-man game, he looked very, very good. Getting to his spots on the nail and at the elbows, and shooting those jumpers. I mean, he looked very, very comfortable. He didn't have a knee brace on his left knee, so I mean, I think the knees probably, it's a little bit, it's progressing very, very well. It's looking good. And also he cut down a lot of weight, right? He's not looking as big as he once did. So whatever he's doing is been very, very good. Now, the one thing I want to say is that Joel Embiid should, I don't know what he's doing with the strength and conditioning team, but I think he should have a I think he should, lift a lot of weights, right? Lift a lot of weights, and maybe not bulk up, but I mean, have that upper body strength. I'm not saying he's not strong, but have that upper body strength, because that's what can, help you a lot when you get in the block, when you get in those posts, and teams are trying to put two or sometimes triple team you. I mean, you can use your strength to overcome that and also dominate in the fashion that you can, to the best of your ability. So that's something that he has to do, right? Lift a ton of weights, because he did look, he looks very, very skinny in a way, and it seems like the upper body strength is not really there, right? So that's one thing that I do want to see from him. But let me pivot away from Joel Embiid and let me talk about the other guys. One person that I do want to talk about is this guy right here, right? This guy right here has been very, very impressive. Dominic Barlow has been very, very impressive with his ability to rebound, right? So, I mean, looking at him and looking how he plays, he's kind of like a dirty work guy, right? I think every team needs a dirty work guy, and that's the vibes that he gives me, right? He's been rebounding very, very well. He's not a great rebounder, I'm not saying that, but he does, give that effort. You see him boxing guys out, you see him going for the rebounds, and you see him doing the dirty work, and that's something that the Sixers could definitely use. Now, whether he starts or comes off the bench, I mean, who is to say? I think that's all on Nick Nurse and what Dominic Barlow is showing him. I think he said, I mean, Nick Nurse did say that the power forward position is open at this point, right? That spot is open because Paul George is not going to start off the season, meaning that Paul George will be the starting power forward on the team, right? So, with that spot being open, I mean, Dominic Barlow is making a good, I'm not going to say a great, but he's making a good case to fill that spot in Paul George's absence, right? I think he's doing very, very good in that spot. In the preseason, I mean, yeah, the Sixers have been losing, but I mean, he tries to give that effort, with that from that side of from that perspective, in terms of rebound, and he shows a lot of effort, right? So, I wouldn't be surprised if I see him in there, but me personally, I think him coming off the bench will be very, very good for us, right? You have that dirty work guy who can come off the bench and like do the dirty work, right? Guard some of the best players. I mean, he can use his length. I mean, he's not a good. I don't think he's a good defender, but use his length to bother some of these guard players that we go up against, on a nightly basis, right? I think in the Eastern Conference, the guards in the Eastern Conference are much better than the guards in the Western Conference. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel that way, right? Because you got the Jalen Brunsons, you got the Donovan Mitchells, the Darius Garlands, right? The Tyrese Halliburtons, Cade Cunningham is on the rise. You got some of these guys. So, yeah. I think if he's in that role, I think you can get the best out of him. Now, if he's starting and you playing him, you know, as a starter, I don't think you get the best out of him as a starter, but him coming off the bench will be very, very good for him, right? Now Tyrese Maxey has also been very, very impressive. His last preseason game, he did a very, very good job, especially in that first half, when he was going off, right? And I mean, Maxey's taking on the leadership role, some leadership role, which is very, very good, right? He's kind of been the veteran for the younger guys, so he's kind of like mentoring the younger guys in a way. I mean, I know that's Kyle Lowry's job because that's why they brought him back. That's why they signed him for year 20. And shout out to Kyle Lowry. But I mean, Maxey, is going to be on the floor most of the times. Maxey's going to be playing with some of these younger guys. So it's very, very good to see Maxey, excelling in that role. Now, as far as him and Joel Embiid in the 2-man game, I mean, it's very, very elite. I mean, Embiid, you put any guard with Embiid, they're gonna look good, right? Because Embiid is just like he's just so good offensively that he makes a mid. Not to say that Tyrese Maxey is mid, but Embiid is capable of making mid guards look very, very good. I mean, look at him with Seth Curry, right? Seth Curry has some of his best had some good games with the Sixers, right? And that was him playing the 2-man game with Joel Embiid. That's the same effect that Embiid has on Maxey, right? When Maxey works off those screen actions with Joel Embiid, it just like and you see his confidence rise up more, right? You see Maxey have a lot of confidence playing alongside Joel Embiid, especially in those two man actions, because he knows that the defense focuses more on Joel Embiid than him, and he takes full advantage of that, right? He takes full advantage of that, and he makes the defense absolutely pay for that when they try to focus more on Joel Embiid. So, that's credit to Maxey as well for being smart as a guard and knowing situations in which he has to take advantage of, right? That's you got to give him credit for that. And also, Maxey has been getting better and better and better over the years, so you got to give Maxey credit for that as well. Now, as far as his passing and playmaking, I mean, I think it's a work in progress. That's something that not only myself, but Sixer fans really want to see Maxey make some strides in that department, right? We need to see him how good he can get as a passer and playmaker. Now he does get you 5 to 6 assists. Now, I mean, assist doesn't. I mean, getting assists is not a clear indication of how good somebody is as a passer and playmaker, right? I think there's a lot that goes into it than just getting regular assists. So, I think Maxey has been good in that department. I mean, some of the preseason games that I watched, I mean, he's been making some good passes, some good reads, picking up some assists. But how consistent can that be? How consistent can he be moving forward? And how could he, from that standpoint, you know, make his teammates better while also being aggressive? That's something that we're looking forward to it when the regular season starts. Now, I think they have another preseason game on Friday. I think they take on the Orlando Magic again. So that'll be the last one before they take on the Boston Celtics on Wednesday. So we're looking forward to that. My guy Shy says if the Sixers can stay healthy, I think y'all could give the Knicks problems in the playoffs, especially in their interior defense. Yeah, that's true, right? Especially when you got Joel Embiid, but I mean their interior is also stronger because keep in mind, I don't know if Mike Brown plans on playing OG, Cat, and Mitchell Robinson because that's going to be a very very tough task for Joel Embiid because if they use Mitchell Robinson as a primary defender and utilize Karl Anthony Towns as the roamer, it would definitely give Embiid a lot of problems because Embiid has faced problems like that in the past. I mean, we can go back to the Boston Celtics series where and people don't give the coach credit for this, but I give him credit every single time. Joe Mazzulla made an adjustment in game 6, which was to play Al Horford and Robert Williams at the same time. And he used Al Horford as the primary defender and also using Robert Williams as the roamer. And that really it bothered Embiid a little bit, right? It bothered him a little bit. Um so the point is that if Mike Brown deploys that strategy, it could be very, very effective, right? That strategy could be very, very effective. So, I mean, I don't know. I still believe they can, but yeah, it's going to be a very, very difficult task, right? It's going to be a very, very difficult task, along with, OG, who's one of the best defenders in the league. So, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. My guy Bobby says, did Dominic Barlow get lucky or is he a hidden gem to be continued? Yeah, I think he's a hidden gem, definitely. Now, I'm not saying he's some, superstar caliber wing or nah, but as a dirty work guy, like somebody who he's very, very underrated, right? He's very, very underrated. And I think if he gets, it all depends on the role that he gets, right? Now, me personally, I want him coming off the bench because I think that's how you can get the best out of him. But if you have him starting, I think he can make a very, very good case to be, a very, very underrated, dirty work guy. Somebody who could grab rebounds, somebody who could, do a little bit of everything. That's how I look at him. Right, that's how I look at him. And I think the Sixers are probably, Nick Nurse has some good things to say about him. He's been very, very impressive in these past few weeks, since training camp and in preseason. Right. But the Sixers' problems is that they're not a good rebounding team. And when it comes to rebounding, one person cannot get it done. Like you need a whole team effort. Like y'all got to do it by committee. And that's something that the Sixers, they might do it in one quarter, they might do it in the first, and then the second, third, and fourth, they like completely forget about it, right? So that's the Sixers' problems. That it happened since last season or probably 2 seasons ago, right? And I don't know if that's coaching because I mean, when you watch the film, you can see these guys make the same mistake over and over and over again. Like they're not, guys are not getting on other guys boxing out. And sometimes when the shots go up, you see the guards, head in the other direction, thinking that somebody will get the rebound and give them the outlet pass, which, it's not going to happen every single time, right? You got to get a body on some people, right? Especially with teams, certain teams, they have different strategies, right? One team might decide to, you know, attack the offensive glass. So what they do is they'll send 2 to 3 or maybe 4 guys to crash the offensive glass. That was something that Tom Thibodeau was doing a lot, especially against us in the playoffs, right? He'll send 2 or 3 guys to the glass and position them at certain spots on the floor. And the Sixers had difficulties, dealing with that, right? But if you're a team that gets on the rebound, and I mean, if you're a team that really rebounds by committee, you're not gonna have those issues. And that's something I think that's the discipline that the Sixers don't have. That's a discipline that the Sixers players don't have. And I think you can give some of the blame to coaching, right? Because Nick Nurse has to, emphasize this over and over and over again, right? He has to, he has to force them to make it a habit. If y'all get what I mean, but yeah, but I mean, back to Dominic, Barlow. I think he's very, very underrated. He's a hidden gem, definitely, right? He's 6'7", 6'8", right? I mean, somebody who you could put on guards, right? So that's something that the Sixers need as well, right? The Sixers need these wings that we have been in need of in a very, very long time. So, yeah, absolutely. Embiid's presence on the floor commands a double team, which yeah, it creates a lot of space for Max, a lot of driving lanes, and that's how he gets a lot of his layups. Most of his layups, come from the defense focusing on Joel Embiid, and then they forget that the Sixers have a significant threat driving all the way to the basket, and Maxey's so fast that if you can't keep up with him, like next thing you know, he's just laying the ball up. So yeah, Maxey takes advantage of that 100%. Now, sometimes like I said, sometimes the playmaking is the passing and playmaking is what you know I hope he can make strides in. Hope he can perfect that. I mean, I know it doesn't take like one off season to fix that. It takes like multiple reps and practice and repetition to get that down. But hopefully Maxi can hopefully he can demonstrate that next season, right? That's what when it comes to Maxi, that's what I'm looking at the most. I know he can score the basketball, right? He's averaged 26 points or more. Nah, not 26 points or more. He's averaged 26 points for like what, 2 straight seasons, averaged 30 in the playoffs against the Knicks. So he can score, right? He can absolutely score. The next thing is for him to show the ability to play make. So that's what I'm looking forward with Maxi. He says Vegas odds have the Sixers winning over or under 42 games. I predict a 41-41 season. What you say? That's fair. I think 41. I think that's fair. I mean, first of all, that's a huge that's a huge leap from the season we had last year. Where I think we won like what 23, 24 last season. So yeah, that's a huge. But I mean, that still puts you in the play-in tournament, right? In the play-in range, which as a team, you don't want to be in the play-in tournament, right? You want that 1 week of rest to replenish, rejuvenate yourself. and for practice and resting purposes. You don't want to play extra games in the play-in tournament. But I mean, I think it's still good, right? Because for number one, it's a significant leap, and number two, you put yourself. I mean, you're competing for a playoff spot. So, I mean, me personally, I had us winning 43, right? I had us winning 43, which I mean, just 2 games more than 41, but I think it's still in that range. And yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. But I mean, it all depends on if our guys are going to be healthy. If Joel Embiid is going to play games, then yeah, 41 is definitely possible. But and I think we just need one of those guys, either Joel Embiid or Paul George. Now, me personally, I think Joel Embiid more because when Embiid plays with anybody, like he is so good that he can like elevate a team to top 5 status, right? I remember, this might be seasons ago, the 21-22 season when Ben Simmons was holding out and Joel Embiid with a bunch of nobodies. Now, when I say nobody, I mean guys that were not all-stars or all NBA caliber players at the time, and he had the Sixers as a third seed, right? Had the Sixers as a third seed. He was playing at an MVP level, elevating the Sixers. So now Embiid is not. He's like Joel Embiid right now is not that same caliber of player. But I still believe that he can absolutely impact any team and make them top 5 caliber, especially in the Eastern Conference where people call it the weak East. I think Embiid has that. He has that impact as an individual on both sides of the floor. So if he plays, I believe that we can absolutely be top 5. Now, if he doesn't, then yeah. Salute to my guy Tulip Plays. Appreciate you. Don't let this distract you from the fact that Caitlin Clark is LaMelo Ball with MJ hype. That's a good take. That's a good take. But Caitlin Clark is a good player though. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. CC is definitely a good player. Now LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is very, very flashy, very, very inefficient. Me personally, I don't know what the hype is with him, but um, the East is weaker than. Bro, y'all funny, man. Bro, you funny. What is the over under for Embiid games this year? 51, 52, 53, give or take. Yeah, probably in the 50s. I'd say in the 50s. Yeah, 50, 51, 52, or 53. That's the amount of games I believe he's going to play. I mean, he's not playing any back-to-back, so we can, X that out. He's going to miss a few games into the season, but I can see 51, 52, or 53. He says, y'all trusted the process and ended up with nothing. Yeah, bro. That happens. I mean, it's a lot of teams that had championship aspirations and never won, right? The Clippers are one of them. Phoenix was one of them. A lot of teams played, and it is what it is, bro. Salute to my guy, Rap Guy Reloaded. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Salute, 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 salute. Yeah, smash that like button, y'all. Smash that like button. But let me just, what rhymes with DFJ? The U.S. got to stop funding it. Yeah, we not doing that. We're not doing it. There's a basketball channel, bro. I'm not. Yeah, there's a basketball channel. I'm not talking about all that. No, we're not doing that. But Quentin Grimes was somebody who came off the bench in the blue versus white or blue and white scrimmage. He came off the bench, which I don't know if Nick Nurse plans to bring him off the bench when the season starts. Me personally, I want him starting with Maxey, but maybe it was because he didn't start off training camp with the team, so maybe they're trying to work him out separately, and because of that, he's not fit to be in the starting lineup, which is cool, right? It's definitely cool, but I think Nick Nurse has also talked about 3-guard lineups, 4-guard line. Now the 4-guard lineups is crazy, right? Now 3-guard lineups I can get with, especially if you plan on playing VJ Edgecombe, because VJ, he's not like your typical guard. Like, he's a bigger guard. He's 6'5", closer to 6'6", right? So you can afford to put him in or start him at the 3, right? Now the goal for starting him at the three is, you hope that he can, take the defensive, responsibilities and also, make threes when open. Also, have some ball handling responsibilities as well. So I mean, I'm not mad at it, but me personally, I just want him to come off the bench. That's just me. Now I know some Sixer fans are gonna disagree with me, and that's fine. But I'm just off this mindset of let him earn it, right? I mean, even though he was picked with the third overall pick, like let him earn his spot, right? And no Nick Nurse, I mean, Nick Nurse has that mentality as well. But, maybe he might be thinking a little bit differently, especially with these guys being hurt, right? He might approach the first game of the season, which is against the Boston Celtics. He might approach it very, very differently and go against what he believes, which is, playing younger guys, right? So, but I mean, like I said, if you have him in there at the three and then you got Maxey at the one, maybe Grimes at the two, then, it's a very, very good. I think that I think he will complement Maxey and Grimes very, very well, right? At the three. I think he can do he'll absolutely do that. Now, how successful is it gonna be? I don't know. It's all optimism at this point, right? We just hope that it's successful moving forward. So Rap Guy says, "What's your thoughts on the Cavs' chances of winning a championship? The addition of Lonzo Ball helps their bench. Absolutely. Now that's something that Tune In Sports, who is a Cleveland Cavaliers, content creator, y'all should definitely check him out. He didn't like the idea of getting Lonzo Ball because Lonzo, he's dealt with injuries, so you can understand that, but I think they have a good chance, right? They have a good chance now. Losing in the second round in the fashion that they did last season, I mean, that's very, very like people are definitely gonna write them off, and not believe in them because like you won 64, 65, you won 60 plus games and you lost in the second round in the fashion that you did. Like you were the best team in the East and you still lost. What more could you possibly do? Right? Because when you were the fourth seed, we didn't give you that respect. And when you were the first seed and we gave you that respect, you came up short. But so that's how people are gonna look at it. But me personally, like I said, they still have a chance. Like when you got one of the best two guards in the game, and then you have, Evan Mobley, who I mean, I'm not so high on Evan Mobley, right? I'm not so high on Evan Mobley, but I mean, the NBA says he's a top 15 player in the league. I mean, if you got those two guys on your team with adequate role players, I mean, why can't you get to the finals and possibly win a championship, right? So they have a good team. They have a good team. You got the DPOY, you got the best two guard in the game. Um, yeah, you should be very, very competitive. And I believe they can get there. Now the playoffs is all about matchups as well too. So if they get the right matchups, they can absolutely get to the finals and possibly win. Right? They can make that leap. She said, I make sports edits, check me out, dropping heaters. All right, I'm gonna check you out though. Definitely. Most definitely. But there's a Sixer channel, so we talk Sixers. We talk basketball on this platform. Now, if you like basketball, you can definitely rock with us. Um, who's your favorite Sixer? I'll make an edit. I'll make an edit for them and tag you. I mean, no brainer. Allen Iverson. No brainer. But yeah, no brainer. Allen Iverson. But that's that. But yeah, speaking of but VJ, has some good plays, right? I think Quentin Grimes also has some good plays. Everybody had good plays. To be honest with you, and like I said, it was not a real game. It's kind of like a pickup, but you got the fans in there, so it adds a different layer of entertainment to it. But I think Sixer fans were just happy to see Joel Embiid be comfortable and be out there and play basketball. Like that was very, very Sixer fans were very, very happy to see that, especially with what Sixer fans, I mean, not Sixer fans, with what Philly fans went through this week. I mean, last week, right? With the Phillies losing in the fashion that they lost, and the Eagles losing, two games. Um, it really gave Philly fans something to be something to be hopeful for. Now, is Joel Embiid gonna be an MVP candidate? I don't know, but I mean, every time these come up, that's kind of like the expectations. Which, me personally, I don't want Sixer fans to be doing that because you're always going to be let down. And like somebody said in the comment section, Yo, trusted the process, and it ended up being nothing. So I think Sixer fans need to lower or minimize the expectations a little bit. And I think the expectations for this season should be get to the playoffs, right? For the team in general, like get to the playoffs. Now, for every player, every individual player, like you can have your own form of expectations for them. Now, me personally, my expectations for Joel Embiid is to play in more games. Now, I'm not saying playing the most games he possibly can, but playing more games than you did last season. Because last season he only played like what 19. Like, come on, that's not gonna suffice, right? That's not gonna cut it. So, my expectations for him is to play in more games. Tyrese Maxey, like I said earlier, I want to see him make or take a jump in the aspect of passing and playmaking, right? And Paul George, a bounce back season, had a terrible season, but I mean, he's not going to start off the season. There's reports that he might come back like around December, early December, mid December. I mean, who knows, right? But speaking of Paul George, let me pivot to Paul George a little bit. DFJ, you watched Moses Malone full game highlight? Yeah, I think I watched one of the games from the '83 finals. Was it game two, game three, one of them? Yeah, he was a beast on the glass. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I watched the Sixers. I mean, I watch old games and clips like that, so I have access to them. So I'll be watching them. Right, I'll be watching them definitely. But yeah, y'all making the chat lit. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Hot take: Embiid will never make an All-Star team again. Not because of lack of talent either, but I guess you're making that take because of the amount of games he plays. Um, that might be a bad take. Now I'm gonna highlight this, right? I'm gonna highlight this, because it only takes a few good months to make the All-Star game, right? Especially, I mean, Joel Embiid has made how many times? 6 times, 7 times, right? So he has the he's got the vote and recognition. Now, if he adds the production and plays an adequate amount of games, then he's definitely going to make the All-Star game. So this might end up being a bad take, right? This might end up being a bad take, but I mean, I think he'll definitely make an All-Star game. So I disagree with that. I absolutely disagree with that. I think it's that he's definitely going to make an All-Star game. Yeah, he's definitely going to make another All-Star team. Nah, for the All-Star game, you ain't got the All-Star game is just half the season. Now, an All NBA team, you got to play 65. But for the All-Star game, no, because the All-Star game is in February. The season starts in October, right? So you got a good, 2 to 3 months, sometimes 4, to make a compelling argument for people to vote for you. So if he's able to put together, very, very good games, like he'll definitely get in, right? He'll definitely get in. So yeah, that's a bad take. You don't gotta play 65. Now for the all NBA teams and defensive teams and major accolades, yes, you gotta play in 65 games to qualify for that. But the All-Star game, no. So yeah, that's a bad take. That's a bad take. Now who's your team? Like let us know your team. Let us know your team. But yeah, speaking of Paul George, Nick Nurse did have something to say about, him and his recovery. He says he's progressing. They're still working out some things. He did do some stuff early in practice as well for the first time. So that's also progress. So Paul George has been, making progress. I think about 2 weeks ago, he wasn't even doing anything relating to contact or nothing, right? He was doing individual drills. But a few days ago, we saw him, playing 1v1 with Justin Edwards. Oh my goodness. Speaking of Justin Edwards, I might have to pivot to him in a few minutes here. But yeah, but Paul George has been, he has been, making progress. And like I said, I'm expecting a bounce back season for Paul George. Now, initially I did expect him, my expectations for him was to, you know, make the All-Star game, right? Now that's I think that's asking too much from him, right? But because he's not gonna play a lot of games, he's not gonna start off the season, so he's not gonna play in enough games to make the All-Star game. But I think yeah, he should still look to make a bounce back from last season because last season was terrible. I mean, you got Tune In Sports talking trash and you know Ty Jerome is better than Paul George, and some of these role players being better than Paul George. Like Paul George has been getting disrespected, right? So it's about time for him to let people know who he is. And sometimes you just got to remind people of what you're capable of doing, right? And tune in sports. I saw the comments. I saw the comments. I saw what you were saying and all that. But we're gonna do less talking and let the players, let their game speak for themselves, right? We're gonna let them make their game speak for themselves. So yeah. But Paul George, he's looking good. In those clips that we saw, the 1v1, like he was, getting to his spots, getting Justin Edwards off his spots too, and being very, very comfortable out there. Now, 1v1 is different from, playing 5v5, right? Because there's a lot that goes into that. But he's making progress, like I said. We're just hoping that everything aligns well. We're hoping that he checks enough boxes moving forward. I think that's the next. That's been the key thing that the Sixers have been saying this offseason, like check enough boxes. They've been saying the same thing with Joel Embiid. Last year it was ramping up. This year is checking more boxes, right? So every year there's a new terminology that the Sixers come up with. But yeah, as long as he's checking more boxes, all right, peace, Rep guy, appreciate you for stopping by. But as long as he's checking enough boxes, yeah, I think the Sixers. As long as he's checking enough boxes, I think he's definitely on the right path, and on the right track to having a bounce back season next year. But first of all, he's going to have to get on the floor first for us to determine that. So, but yeah, I'm just happy that we're getting our guys healthy and healthy as the days go on. So yeah, Joel Embiid looking good, Maxey looking good, VJ looking good, Quentin Grimes looking good, like everybody's looking good. Now let me talk about Justin Edwards. Now Justin gave him a lot of praise prior to the start of the preseason, right? He was one of the players that I was going to be watching for the most part. Now he's had a terrible, terrible stretch in the preseason, especially in those first two games. Like he was very, very terrible. The first one was just atrocious, right? Very, 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 very atrocious. Not shooting the 3 pointer good, not handling the rock well. And just a few, little petty mistakes here that, guys will make those mistakes in preseason and then you will think that they'll clean those habits, heading into the regular season, but next thing you know, they're making those same mistakes in the regular season. And that's one of my biggest fears for Justin Edwards. And he got a lot of praise from the players and from the coaching staff as well. I heard Brian Gates and Bobby Jackson, saying some good things about Justin Edwards, but he is going down a path where he might. And now this might be a little bit unfair to say this because it's only the preseason. We need to see a lot of games in the regular season to come to that conclusion. But if he doesn't clean up some of these habits, heading into the regular season, he might be the next Ricky Council the fourth. And what I mean by it is he might end up getting cut by the Sixers, which I don't want to see that happen because I believe Justin Edwards is very, very talented. Right? I believe he's very, very talented. Right? I believe he's got the talent. Now it's up to him and his discipline and his attention to detail to put everything together and have a very, very good impact on the Sixers. Tulip says, "Who's this guy?" He's a second year player with the team. I think he's number 11. He was 19 last season, but he was an undrafted player who the Sixers picked up from last year. Had a good stretch of games for the team, even though the team was losing. But he had a good stretch of games for the team. But yeah, he's one of the younger guys on the team. But yeah, 6'7", 6'8", moves similar to Paul George, not fully, but a lot similar, and he's left-handed. So, um, but I mean, he's trying to kind of model this game after Paul George. But I don't think he can get to that caliber of player. I mean, that's a All NBA caliber player. I don't think you ever get there. I only watch Philly games if Maxey and Embiid are playing together, which is rare. Okay, I see. But I mean, you do need to watch more games though. I mean, I know Embiid and Maxey. I mean, if they're playing the Sixers, chances of winning go up. But yeah, you should still watch the team because there's a lot of good players on the team. A lot of underrated guys, but sometimes the consistency is the one thing that gets in their way, and they're not able to produce. Right? They're not able to produce, but I think Justin Edwards is one of them. He's just had some terrible stretches in the preseason, and as I do on the show, like if you play good, I give you praise. If you're not playing good, you got to get criticized, and I do that with everybody. I keep the same energy. Like I was telling Tuna Sports, like keep that same energy, bro. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So of course I'm gonna keep the same energy, right? Of course I'm gonna keep the same energy, bro. But yeah, shout out to Tuna Sports, man. Shout out to Humble. Shout out to my guys, bro. Shout out to them. Injury luck is bad for Philly, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah. I mean, whole team was hurt last year, but I think we're getting healthy. We're getting healthier day by day. Um, the season starts in what, in 2 weeks or a week from now. Let me say. Yeah, the guys can get healthy. I mean, Trent Watford dealt with had a setback, but hopefully he can get healthy and help the team. Adem Bona has been very very. I mean, he's been good, but from my expectations from him, I mean, he's not really that good, right? He's not really that good as a starter. By the way, as a starter. Now, speaking of Adem Bona, Nick Nurse did, make some comments about, possibly having the Sixers' own version of a twin tower lineup, which would include Joel Embiid and Adem Bona. Now, I think that that duo, tandem, whatever you want to call it, I think it could be good or beneficiary in certain moments. Now, what moments are those? Maybe you're in the playoff setting, or let me not even say the playoffs, right? That's kind of like skipping, but maybe you're in the regular season, and maybe there's a game on the line and you're down by two, down by three, or whatever. Last seconds of the game. It's an out of bounds play, right? Like a blob, like a baseline out of bounds play for the other team, and the Sixers are on defense. I think a duo between Adem Bona and Joel Embiid could be very, very good because Adem Bona could be very, very good around the basket, contesting shots, right? Or you can use him guarding the inbounder, right? He can use his length and his reach to kind of like disrupt the inbounder, and the Sixers could get a steal on defense. That could be good. But as far as them starting and playing a lot of minutes, like that's not gonna be very, very good because for number one, Embiid plays in the paint, right? Embiid is in that he's in that paint, that box area. I mean, he specializes at the nail, but he's most likely in that area. Like that's his territory, right? So having Adem Bona in the game kind of like clogs up the lane because you got two guys in there. Adem Bona is not a floor spacer, right? Now he's been working on his threes, but again, you don't become a very, very good 3-point shooter in just one off season. Like it takes it takes months and it takes a lot of repetition to, incorporate that into your game. So he's not that yet. But if you have him in the game offensively, that really is gonna hurt your offense because the lane is gonna get clogged up. And also it blocks Maxey and some of these other guys from, having clear way paths to the basket and trying to get layups. So I don't see that happening, But I mean, Nick Nurse. I mean, knowing Nick Nurse, I mean, who knows? Anything could happen. Peace. Appreciate you though. Appreciate you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Um, but yeah, knowing Nick Nurse, I mean, Nick Nurse is capable of doing anything, right? I see Nick Nurse play for guards along with Paul George, so Nick Nurse is capable of doing the unthinkable, right? So, but I mean, I don't. It's not going to be very very good, especially with Adem Bona not being very, very good offensively. Now, Adem Bona as a floor, somebody who could run the floor, you place him in a dunker spot, he can definitely do damage, right? You can also use him as a live threat, right? He can do damage in those, like if you have him in that role, yeah, he can make something happen. But having him in Embiid, too big, clogging up the lane, that's not gonna be, it's not gonna be very, very helpful. But in spurts that could work out. Like for example, if the Sixers are playing against a dominant big, playing against a Giannis, right? You could probably use Adem Bona and try to use him to disrupt Giannis a little bit, even though it's not gonna work because Giannis is just a freakish athlete. Like, but you could try and try to use his speed on in transition because Giannis likes to get the bulk of his production in transition. You can try to use him to disrupt them in transition plays, right? And also in the half court setting, you can have him on Giannis, even though Giannis is so good. Giannis is still going to make things happen. But I believe Adembone is very very athletic and very. He can also he's also 6'10", right? He's 6'10", 6'9", 6'10". So Giannis is 6'11", so you can have him on Giannis and he can definitely bother Giannis a little bit and force Giannis to, I mean, maybe not bother, but force him to work for his buckets, right? Force Giannis to work that shot clock and get his buckets. I think he can do that. But having Embiid, Embiid could, be on defense and B could, be at the rim and, you can use him as a disruptor, somebody who alters shots or use him as a roamer and that put him in that role and let Adem Bona be the primary defender on whoever the center is, whether it's Karl Anthony Towns or, Karl Anthony Towns doesn't really even like playing in the post, right? He's most likely going to be at the 3-point line, which Embiid doesn't like being at the 3-point line. So guess what? You can deploy Adem Bona to, contest or defend or guard a Karl Anthony Towns at the top of the key from the 3-point line, right? Because Embiid doesn't like going there, and Embiid is not good, right, on the perimeter anyway. But I think when teams play Joel Embiid, they're gonna try to, test out. They're gonna try to test out his mobility out there on the perimeter to see if he can actually keep up on the perimeter. Is the knees gonna bother him? Is the left knee gonna bother him from, you know, moving laterally on the court? Now he's definitely gonna have some issues, but I mean, hopefully, the weight that he dropped, hopefully the injury is not the knee is not bothering him. Hopefully he can, still be able to, you know, hold his own out there on the perimeter. Because at one point, and B was very, very good, on the perimeter. Now, not a lockdown defender, but I mean, if you had him on the perimeter, like you don't have to close your eyes and hope the team misses from the three. But as of right now, it's just that ability has been, he doesn't have that because he's been, dealing with a lot of knee injuries. So, but appreciate y'all though. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. I want to touch on a few things and yeah, I can get up out of here. But yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate it. Um, a few things here. Few things. Quentin Grimes, like I said, had some good moments too. Coming off the bench, but heading into the game against Boston, and another thing, he hasn't yet played in a preseason game, which I mean we all know why. But hopefully in the last one, we can see him out there in an actual NBA setting, getting reps with the team. Now I think a backcourt duo between him and Maxey is going to be very, very, very like teams will have to prepare for that, right? Because these are two guys that could score the basketball at any point. They can both shoot. They can both break down the defense. They can both, get to the basket. They're both highly skilled. So teams are gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to pick your poison, to a certain degree because Maxi can do similar things, right? Grimes can do similar things. So I think that really helps us in a way because for number one, Embiid and George are not going to play. So at least you have two guards who can get their own baskets and make things happen offensively, and also you can have variations of both of them on the court at the same time, and then both of them off the court, or not both of them off the court at the same time, but I mean one in, one off the floor, right? With that, I mean you have a balance of scoring because scoring and playmaking because Maxey can score, Maxey can play make, Grimes can do the same thing. I mean they're not very very good at the playmaking aspect of it, but it's just kind of like a balance, to have somebody who could make something happen offensively on the court from the guard position every single time. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Like I said, these guys are definitely going to be one of the one of the scoring backcourt duos in the league, or let me say in the Eastern Conference. Like I'm definitely sure that is going to happen, especially with George and Embiid not playing or not starting the season off. I can definitely see that. Right, I can definitely see that. Now, other players that I didn't talk about, Kelly Oubre, Kelly's gonna do Kelly. Kelly has some good dunks, some good plays, right? But Kelly Oubre has been in the preseason has been committing the same mistakes from the season prior, right? A 2-on-1 fast break. Kelly Oubre tries to do everything by himself and ends up, smoking layups and letting easy scoring opportunities go in the trash can. And that's, he can't afford to make those mistakes heading into next season, right? And I mean, on a 2-on-1 fast break, sometimes you got to blame the person that he's with too. I'm not even going to say his name, but on a 2-on-1 fast break, what are you taught? You're taught to get wide, right? You're taught to get wide, so the defender has to pick one person or make it difficult for the defender. So if he chooses to take away the three, guess what? Oubre will have a good or have a clear path to the basket. Or if he decides to, guard Oubre and give you the open three, guess what? You got to open three, and at that point, you got to make that layup, right? Open corner threes are now layups in the NBA, right? They're layups in the NBA. So but plays like that. I mean, I don't know if they're watching film, if Nick Nurse is pointing that out to them because you can't keep making that. I mean, you're making those mistakes in the preseason, which that's cool, but we don't want to see that in the regular season because we saw that a lot last year, right? We saw that a lot last year, and that's mostly Kelly Oubre and sometimes Maxey too. Right, Maxey wants every shot and then forgets that it's a 3-on-1 fast break, which means that somebody's wide open most of the time, and then he ends up smoking layups. But other than that, I think Oubre has been good, right? He's been good. Oubre is always going to give you effort. Like that's one thing that you can count on him for. Like he's always going to give you effort. He's always going to play every possession. Like he's going to give it his everything. He's going to give it his all. And I mean, he's playing for a contract this season, so he's definitely going to give you the effort, most definitely. Yeah, and then Andre Drummond, playing on the other team. I mean, Andre Drummond has some good plays too. There was this play where he he took a power dribble and clearly goddamn Bono off his spot, like cleared him out the way. I'm like, damn, he is still like that, right? Now in the game, you're not going to see that often because his role is not really doesn't really have a lot of responsibilities offensively, right? But yeah, I think they all look good. The media members, asked questions, they took pictures, and it was a very very fun day, right? It was very very fun, for everybody that attended. I know a couple people that went there, that attended. They had fun, took pictures, took videos. I had a video that I was gonna play, but I guess it's too late. I might end up playing it. But yeah, let me get through a few of these comments. Injury luck is bad for Philly, unfortunately. The championship window is gone, in my opinion, but it's sports. You never know. Yeah, I mean it's true, but it's not true at the same time. I mean the Sixers have the seventh best odds to make the championship next season. Now, of course, they had Cleveland ahead of them. They had New York ahead of them. They had Detroit ahead of them, Atlanta ahead of them, Boston ahead of them, and maybe another team before the Sixers. So, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, I've seen in the past where Miami had no odds. Miami had a 3% chance to get to the finals in 23, right? They gave Boston 97% chance to get there, and then Miami ended up, doing the unthinkable, right? So it can happen, but I mean, it can only happen if the guys are healthy. Once again, right? Now I know people hate hearing, you know, if healthy, if healthy, if healthy, but I mean, I think this year we're gonna hear that a lot because a lot of guys are going down with injuries. Ja Morant went down with an injury. Other guys are going down with injuries. So we're gonna hear that a lot, not just from the Sixers, but from everybody essentially. All right, bro, I got to bounce. Dub stream, comment on my edit. Which player you want me to make one for next, and I'll do it and tag you. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out. Most definitely. Most that. Yeah, I should have asked for a channel. Yeah, but yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. I love the questions that y'all was throwing in the comments. Salute to tune in sports and show up, but he definitely watching the playback. Salute to my guy Humble. Humble has some comments that I I probably missed, but yeah, salute to Rap God too. Rap God be in these YouTube streets. I be seeing Rap God all over the place. Right, I be seeing Rap God all over. But yeah, the season starts in a few days. In a few days, and yeah, the Sixers will be taking on the Boston Celtics. Your good old Celtics Sixers rivalry, which is it a rivalry? I mean, they win every time. I mean, but yeah, the Sixers will take on the Boston Celtics, and like I said, the Boston Celtics are looking good. Now they're not looking, great or but I mean, Jaylen Brown as the man, as the guy, we'll see. We'll see how or where he can have the Celtics at. But the Celtics still have a good team. I mean, you still got Derek White, you got him, Derek White, a couple of those other players too. Right. Sam Hauser's still on the team. Peyton Pritchard is still on the team. Derek White, like I said. So they're still gonna be a good team regardless, right? They're still gonna be a good team regardless. It's just gonna be up to the other guys to step up with Jaylen Brown. And I mean, Boston has they got a huge fan base, and their fans really love their team, and they're gonna stand up with them no matter what. So, but yeah, just looking forward to the Sixers. I just hope Joel Embiid doesn't miss a ton of games, right? Yeah, because he did look good, right? He did look good. Now it's up to the strength and conditioning team. It's up to the team to clear him to actually go out there and play in actual NBA games, right? Because that blue and white scrimmage, that's not a real game, right? That's not a real game. Um, we have to see him in an official NBA game to make our final assessments about him. Now, I don't think he's gonna play in the preseason. I mean, he's not. But yeah, just good stuff all around. Like good stuff from all around. All the other guys. Shout out to Janai Broom. I didn't talk about him. Shout out to the other guys too. Shout out to all the other guys. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it right here. Good stuff, good things, like I said. But moving forward, like we'll see what happens with this team. What changes are they gonna make to the starting five? Like, what is Nick Nurse thinking? What does he have in mind? Is he gonna be very, very? Is he gonna try a lot of things out there on the court? Yeah, we'll just hope to we'll just find out, right? We'll just find out. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all once again. Salute to my guy Humble. Salute to BJ. two Cleveland Cavaliers fans, always appreciate them when they stop by. Salute to my guy Cheyenne as well. Salute to Ore. Sixer fan. Salute to Bobby King. Some good questions in the comments. But he had me laughing when he said the "fool me once" thing. That was funny. But yeah, believe in Joel Embiid, man. Believe in Embiid. He'll definitely have the Sixers in a good standing if he's playing, right? But he's got to get on the court first. So yeah, but appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace.